Neurophototherapy is incredibly timely um, because there's a whole new raft of research that's going on around masking and how complex masking is. So when I first came across the concept of masking, way before the pandemic, probably in around 2016, 2015, something like that. As I was getting my own diagnosis, probably, it seemed to me that the conversation around masking was more to do with, well, you have to take off your mask and masking is bad. And, it was a very binary conversation. And I think what's happened is we're developing a far more nuanced understanding of what masking is and its functions, and that it's made up of a huge number of components. So for people who don't know, maybe I just better explain what masking is. So masking is a kind of survival strategy. It's a reflex. It's something that happens to you without you being aware, due to the pressures to conform and due to just the social expectations, these sort of embedded assumptions about what human behavior is and should be. And it can be a reflex. It can be understood as a survival reflex. But we know also that masking can be something that we can do consciously once we know about it. So for some autistic people, for some neurodivergent people, it is possible to understand, the differences between being authentic to yourself and masking for other people. Situations where you suddenly find you have to put a mask on, as it were. And so I think a lot of neurodivergent people and, non-neurodivergent researchers who work in the field have been curious. Well, is it harmful to be doing this to yourself? Is it something that's adaptive? Do people who mask do better? Do people who can't mask fare worse? What's going on? And so there has been a burgeoning of research, particularly by neurodivergent researchers themselves. And what we're discovering is that I kind of felt, I had conversations with Professor Shaughnessy about this throughout the project, and I kind of thought, oh goodness, I'm going to need to do a Neurophototherapy 3 because there are at least 3 different forms of masking. So masking that's automatic, that's almost like a camouflage that you can't control, masking which you're more conscious of, which you can sort of take on and off. Sometimes at will, maybe sometimes it takes a bit longer, but you don't understand what's going on, particularly until you sort of start figuring it all out. And another form of masking, which I think might be somewhere in between those two things, I'm not necessarily that clear myself. And then some of the research is coming out with dozens of different types of strategies that people use in order to mask, some of which are very adaptive and helpful to them, and some of which are not and are harmful. So, it's a really rich area, which we need to kind of understand more about, I think. And neurophototherapy is kind of right in there, because what it's suggesting is that if we explore ourselves and discover more about masking and unmasking in a very playful, sort of like creative and safe way, a way that doesn't feel intimidating or threatening, or that's going to, impact us in any harmful way. If we can do that, if we can practice that, then we can be more in control of it, which is one of the key ideas, is that you can be more in control, more confident, and you may find that you need to mask less, and that when you do need to mask, you can do it and then slip out of it more easily. This idea of developing a fluidity through practicing something.